why have you been pushing so hard for Vice President Harris?
I think she'll be a better president. I think she's better for us to bring the country together. I think she's better for us with international relationships and particularly diplomacy. And I think she's better for us economically. I think she'll do a far better job in increasing people's net worth and their checking accounts.
Why shouldn't voters be concerned about the last 4 years when prices really soared as she was vice president?
Well, first, we all have bosses or have had bosses, and we have to do what the boss says. She's not Joe Biden, but inflation takes a lot of different forms. We talk, the Donald Trump likes to talk about grocery costs, but he doesn't like to talk about healthcare costs. Kamala Harris has been very specific about healthcare costs. We know that the scariest of all the costs, if Gatorade goes up in price, we're not happy, but we can replace it with something else. If you're sick and healthcare costs are up, it's intimidating and it's terrifying because you don't know if you're going to be able to even afford your deductible or your copays. What Kamala Harris has said is starting with medications, she has been very specific to say she's going after the pharmacy middlemen. They're called pharmacy benefit managers. And she's going to introduce transparency to medications. And I know from my own experiences in that industry, that'll cut the cost of medications by 20-30% or more. And if she's able to get Congress to work with us to extend that to all of healthcare, I can easily see that cutting the cost across the board of healthcare by 20-30% or more. So when it comes to really looking at your out-of-pocket expenses for your household, if you look at healthcare, Donald Trump says he's got a concept of a plan. Kamala Harris is very specific that starting with medications, she's going to cut your costs.
You talked a lot about healthcare. What about groceries?
I mean, look, there's no one silver bullet for groceries, but Donald Trump can't cut their costs either. He keeps on saying drill, baby, drill, as if all of a sudden the price of tomatoes is going to go down. And his response is, well, if you get down the price of oil, the price of gas, then it takes less to ship them and all that. It's not going to reduce the cost of anything. He's lying. And to make matters worse, when you just drill, baby, drill, the price of gas goes down and the oil companies stop drilling. And they may not even start because the price of oil right now is about $70 a barrel, give or take. And it may not be low enough for all of them to start drilling. So he says, well, we're going to, he says he's going to cut the cost of energy by half in a year. You've heard him say that? That's a lie. It's an out and out lie. There's not one person standing up saying, yes, I'm going to do that with him. Yes, we're going to help him do that. Yes, that's how it will work. He is the only one that says it. And no one supports him on it because it is a lie. It won't happen. And so when he talks about drill, baby, drill to reduce the cost of groceries, he's lying. There is no silver bullet. So what you have to do is look at the overall cost to a household. And the largest expense and the most terrifying expense is healthcare. And that's what Kamala Harris is focused on.
What are you most concerned about if there were another 4 years of Donald Trump?
Mass deportations, for one. I mean, if you think about it, there are, let me just give you an example. Let's just say there's somebody who's been here, who's undocumented, who's been here 20 years, has 4 American children and 10 American grandchildren. Donald Trump wants to deport them. Do you think that's right? Donald Trump wants to go into the local restaurant or factory or warehouse and ask for a list of all I-9 employees. An I-9 is where you list your immigration status and whether you're a resident or whatever. He wants to take a list and just go to people's homes and see if there's anybody who's undocumented in the home and drag them out. That's not who we are as Americans. He wants to have checkpoints on streets so he can check people's papers. That's what Stephen Miller has said. That's not who we are as a country. Kamala Harris says, look, we had an executive order that cut immigration, border crossings to where they were under Trump. Kamala Harris has said, if you have come in since that executive order, you're going back. Kamala Harris has said, if you're here illegally and you break the law, you commit a crime, you're getting deported immediately. But she's not going to take grandma and grandpa and just deport them. She'll put together a program that says, transparently, here's what you have to do to stay in the country. There may not be a path to citizenship, but there may be a path to residency. She's open about it. Donald Trump just wants to deport you. And not only is that terrifying to families, terrifying to communities, terrifying to the economy, but is that who we want to be as a country? Do we want to have people stopping cars at a checkpoint, not for drunk driving, but to see if somebody has their papers? And if you look at it on a bigger picture and an economic picture, he says there's 15 or 20 illegal aliens here. and he wants to deport them all. As a point of reference, there's only 1.9 people who are 1.9 million people who are incarcerated in this country. That's, multiples of that. And for each person he wants to deport, it costs $15,000. And not only does it cost money, who's going to do it? Are you going to take the officers in your community instead of, dealing with a murder, instead of dealing with a kidnapping, to focus on deporting people? And who's going to pay for all that? Is he going to send a check to all the local police departments? No, he hasn't talked about any of the details. He's just trying to get people mad at people who don't look like them. And to me, that's just wrong. And that's the scariest part if he becomes president again.
What do you think of Brett Favre coming and being at his rally in Green Bay?
Brett's a private citizen. He gets to do whatever he wants. More power to him. That's what makes this country great. We get to pick the candidates we want. We get to do our own homework, and we get to make our own decisions. And whoever Brett wants to support, more power to him.
Does that concern you at all? He's kind of a legend around here, influencing votes.
No, I mean, people are smart. People are learning. Kamala Harris has the disadvantage. She's only been doing this for 13 weeks, and Donald Trump's been doing this for 9 years. And so she's had to work really hard. But if you think about it, she went from lousy favorables, lack of name recognition, and in 13 weeks, it's a dead heat. And that tells you a lot. And on the flip side, Donald Trump talks about the same things all the time. He talks about mass deportations, which I think when people, again, realize the things that I just brought up, I don't think people in Green Bay want to deport grandma and grandpa that have been here for 20 years and have 4, or 10 American grandkids. I don't think they realize that's what he wants to do. He talks about tariffs. I don't think people realize that if he's elected and does 60% across the board tariffs on Chinese imports, they're going to be making hard decisions on their Christmas presents. I call Donald Trump the Grinch that's stealing your Christmas, because if he puts on a 60% tariff on all Chinese imports, the bats and the balls and all the sporting goods and dresses and shoes and books and knickknacks, those are all going up at least 60%. So you're not buying as many Christmas presents for your kids and your family. And not only that, the stores that you buy them from, the local knickknack store, the dress store that's been there for 20 years, their business is going to decline. And that could put them out of business because Donald Trump doesn't understand how tariffs work.
I think that's all I have for you. Is there anything else you'd want to get out to Wisconsin voters?
Sure. Get out there and vote for Kamala Harris. She's the right person for the job. She's honest. She's ethical. She's open-minded. She's pragmatic. She truly is somebody that will represent you well.